Hey everybody, welcome to another drive-through rundown. Today we're going to talk about Milestones. It's a new Euro game from Stronghold Games and Eggertspiel. So if we take a look over here, we've sort of got a main board and a sort of a main map that we're going to be fighting over. So each of the players is going to build, you can see there's roads out there and marketplaces. Those are the little white discs. And you've got little milestones here that intersect the road and also little houses. So players are going to be building on here jointly and competing to sort of set up the best little piece of this network. So in addition to the main board, everybody's going to have an individual player board that you can see here. Now the player board is consisting of a couple of spaces here to take actions, as well as this castle space, as well as some tiles up here. So at the start of the game, each player is going to pick from a selection and draft two different sets of tiles. These are going to give you resources. You can see the different cubes. And then you're going to have a little worker here that you're going to move around. It's going to start on the castle, and basically on your turn you're going to move it twice, okay? So I may take it and then move it here, and I may get a white cube, and then I may move it here and I'm going to get a gray cube. But I'm also going to get a bonus. So in that move, I actually skipped over another gray cube. So if you skip over any cubes that are the same color as the one you landed on, you'll basically sort of collect those as well. And so during the game, you're going to be able to buy and purchase more of these tiles here from a face-up display. And so you're going to want to arrange these in a nice order so that you get your sort of, biggest bang for your buck as you're moving around your player board. The other thing to notice here is the numbers on the bottom, and what significance does those have? So let's take a look back at our player board now. So the numbers here, you want them to be sequential. So in this case, I've got 2, 2, 5, 5. So then we're good there. They're all sequential. They go from ascending order. Well, once you get done moving along the top here where you may be collecting resources, the next space you can move to is down here. And when you land on this space, you can see the little iconography here. It says 1 through 8, and you get a coin. So if you land on this space, and when you land on this space, if the numbers are in sequential order, you're going to get a bonus coin. Everybody starts the game with 1 coin. And then you can take a couple different actions as many times as you want here on this space. So you can see you can trade any 2 cubes for a coin, any 2 coins for a cube. You can do that as many times as you want. And now this is the space where you're going to buy tiles. So you can spend 2 coins and buy a tile. And you can only do that once on your turn. And you're going to want to keep the top of your board here full with tiles and try to arrange them as best as you can. But it's important that you keep a nice supply of workers at the top here, and I'll explain that why in a second. Now the next space that you can go to is here. So remember, we're going to move twice. So I could have moved to white, and I could have jumped all the way to here if I really wanted to. But you get 2 movements, and then it's the next player's turn. So here, this is where we're going to start to build stuff outside on the main board over here. So you can build 3 different things on this space here. You can build a road. You can see that there with the road and a milestone. That cuts a white and a gray. And then you can build a marketplace, that's that white disc there for a white and a brown, and then a house for a gray and a brown. And what's going to happen up here when you build that? So let's say you built the road. Let's say I just built this road here, like so. Now you can build a road only extending out from the end of the road, or you can fork it from a marketplace. So if I had this road here, I can only build off the end here. Now I could fork it any kind of different way that I wanted off the end, but you can never fork it outside of a milestone like this. And you can never loop it back and then so it's touching itself either. However, you can fork it out of a marketplace. So it's kind of a central hub. There's a lot of commerce going on here, so you can fork out and it provides the economy for the rest of the roads there. So when you build a road, you're always going to build 1 stick, 1 of these milestones, and then another stick. So I would pay my white and gray cube, put that stick there, put that milestone over the 1, and put that. So I'm going to get basically 1 victory point. And then just so we know, victory points are tracked on this track here, and depending on the number of players, the game will end when somebody hits a certain number of victory points. So I'm going to build that there. So that's building a road. Now the next thing I could do is I could build one of these marketplaces here. And so maybe what I would want to have done with this road here is you can always build a marketplace sort of at the end of the road like so. So if I built that there, I could build 1 point and then 3 points. So maybe instead I would have forked the road this way and then built the 4 points that way. Now you can build as much stuff as you can afford when you take this space here. So I could build 2 roads and a marketplace or whatever I wanted to do. But remember, all the players are building on this same map. So you've got to be a little bit careful about how and when you build these different things. So here, if I had just built the road and then left it, then one of my opponents could come in here and grab those 4 points from me. Meanwhile, I only got 1 point on my turn. So you want to try to build up a sort of a cache of resources to build a bunch of stuff on your turn. But that's not as easy as it sounds. So let me keep going with what you can build first, though, before I get into more strategy. So the next thing you could build here would be one of these houses like so. So if I build a house, I can put it now flush with one of these roads. So you can build it basically parallel to one of the roads, and you're going to score points equal to all of the empty little milestone markers there. So if I had the capability on my turn to build a road, a house, and a marketplace, I would want to do it in a different order. I'd build the road first, then build the house, then I'm going to get 7 points, because everything inside these vertices here that is visible, I'm going to get. So I get 1 point plus 7 would be 8, and then build the marketplace for 4. So that'd be a total of 12 points. That'd be a nice little turn there. So that's the different things you can build on that space. Finally, the next space here, you can see it costs 2 yellow cubes, and I can put a flower on top of a market. When I do that, I'm going to score a ton of points usually, and then also get a free coin. So how is this going to work? So let's take a look back here at the board. I've set this up here, and then I can put a flower piece on the market. So let's take a look at these little flower chits here. You can grab one of these, you pay 2 yellows for it, and put it on top of there. Now when you do this, you're going to score points. Basically, if you extend a line out of each little space here from the market, like so. So I get 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 points for that. So that's another thing you got to keep in mind now, is to, maybe I did a great job of that. I built the road, the market, and the house, but then my opponent's going to come along. He's been hoarding the yellow cubes and puts it on there, and he gets a nice little fat score himself. Now also you can see here, there's bonus workers out here. So the way you capture that is if you ever kind of build something in that space. So this guy here, this is a gold coin bonus worker. Now you can capture him in a few different ways. If I put the milestone down and it's touching that triangle that he's in, I can take it. But I can only take it if I've got a worker with a gold coin on it. So you'd have to have one of these guys here with a gold coin to put that on there. Now the other way I could take it is if I put a house directly on that. Maybe there was a road going flush there. I could take it, or if I put a market on one of those, then I could take it. So if we look over here, back on our player board, you can see this guy's already captured a brown worker and put that on there. Now when you capture the worker, you get a victory point for capturing it immediately. And again, you've got to have the light colored worker to be able to put it. If you don't have it, then you can't take it, and it's there for somebody else to get. But now every time I land on this space, I'm going to get just an extra victory point. And these are also going to help me at the end of game scoring, which I'll talk about in a minute. So the next and last space on here is this castle, and this is where you started the game off. So when I move here, I can never bypass there. I've always got to stop there. So if I was here, my first move would have to stop there, then I could take my second move and move anywhere else I wanted on this little sort of rondelle kind of thing. Now when you stop here, it's not a pleasant day. So you can see there's a max of 3. So if you have more than 3 cubes and coins all together, you've got to discard all that stuff down to just 3 things. And then finally, you've got to cover up a worker. And so I usually think that I'm burying the worker like it's died, but the rules state that you're actually sort of giving it to the king. Well, how are you going to cover up the worker? So if we go over here, you can see you got a whole mess of these tiles here. And so we'll basically have to choose a worker here and just cover them up. So maybe I'll cover up that white worker. So then, remember I said earlier, it's very important that you buy these tiles here to make sure you have a good supply of workers, because every time you go around this board, you're going to be covering up a new one. So you don't want to get, too far behind in generating resources, because then you won't be able to do anything cool on your turn. But again, you don't want to be spending all your money necessarily buying these new tiles, because other people will be building things faster than you and getting a lot of points. So there's a nice sort of tension on this side and on this side of this player board and how you move around. And I've noticed that in a 2-player game, I just got another guy set up here, the sort of cat and mouse that can happen as you see which resources the opponent's focused on, which he's going to get a lot of, what kind of buildings and different roads and things he's going to build compared to what you're going to build, it gets kind of tricky, and it's pretty fun. And even more so in a multiplayer game, there's a little bit of room there for divergent sort of strategies, you might say. So maybe one person will try to get houses down, one person will focus on markets. But it's really going to depend on how these things come out at the top and what you're going to do. So you're going to need to be smart about buying these, try to get them in order, and try to generate as much stuff as possible. So that is pretty much the game there. Basically, you're trying to conserve and build up a bunch of resources to have nice big turns, but on the other hand, the king here, every time you hit him, he's going to drain you, not only of workers, but of also any cubes that you were trying to hoard there. So it's a very, very sort of delicate balancing act, but it's a very simple game, and it has that sort of balance between sort of a family game and a strategy game, because really on your turns, basically 2 moves, 1, 2, and then I do whatever the actions say, and they're very simple. You know, I'm either going to collect some stuff, maybe trade in some stuff, and then build some stuff out here on the board. But so it has that really nice balancing act, you know, to have the simple rules, but also you've got to be very aware of what your opponents are doing, and you've got to be able to see and visualize a little bit on the board of where you're building, because you can fork back and forth, you can try to set things up, you need to be aware of the different cubes and resources that your opponent has, you need to be aware of what workers they have on the board, what they're going to be capable of, because everybody's got 2 moves. So it's a nice kind of slow introduction to a little bit of depth and strategy, but very simplistic. Now I've played this 2, 3, and 4 player. My favorite maybe is 3. Let's just, you know, but I do enjoy it with 2 and 4. 2 player I really like. So it's kind of it's a difficult decision. But I really enjoy the game, and I played it with a couple of different groups of people, with my family and with my my gamer group. And the reaction's been mixed with the gamer group. Mostly it's been positive, and it's a nice quick light game. I've been able to finish it in 45 minutes. So anyway, that's Milestones. Take a look at it, and hope you enjoy it. Thanks. So I knew I forgot something. As I was talking there, I knew I was forgetting something. So there's an end of game scoring bonus here, and just in the guise of thoroughness here, I thought I would mention that. So at the end of the game, when somebody goes and hits whatever the final amount of points is going to be. So in a 3-player game, here's the trigger for the end of the game. You're going to take a look and see who has the most of the different types of workers. So you can see here, the red player here has 2 gray workers and then 1 brown worker. But he's considered to have an extra brown worker because he's got a bonus token there. So he's got 2 gray and 2 brown. Now, if he had the most in each of these, he would get 5 points for each type. So if he had the most gray, he would get 5 points. If he had the most brown, he would get 5 points. If there's a tie, everybody just gets 2 points. So if we look over here to the yellow player, he's actually got 3 white workers, 1, 2, 3 with the bonus, only 1 brown worker and 1 yellow worker. So he would get the bonus for white and yellow, but the red player would get the bonus for brown because he's got the extra bonus. So I knew I was forgetting something as I was talking there. I apologize for that. But you'll add those points to yourself at the end of the game, and that is the game.